What's up guys? So I used to play this MMORPG called Maplestory back in the day, and as you can see from this old footage, this is me roughly 10 years ago reaching the highest level in the game at the time, which was level 200. It was such a huge milestone for me that of course I had to record it. And like most players who reach the max level of a game, I eventually quit it and decided to spend my time on other things. Since then, I've tried logging on here and there in addition to playing some private servers to scratch that nostalgic itch, but it was never the same. Playing the game nowadays just isn't the same as back when I was a kid, party questing with complete strangers on a summer's day. I could play Maplestory endlessly, with no worries about life, school, or work. My childhood spent on Maplestory was truly sublime. Fast forward 10 years later, I hear about a new gigantic update called the Destiny update, which I understand was to revamp tons of things including explorers. With the perpetuating temptation to chase down nostalgia, in an attempt to feel like a kid again, I went ahead and downloaded the game to see how different things were and whether or not the game was still worth playing for an old player like me. In this video, I'll be giving you guys my thoughts on today's Maplestory from the perspective of an old youthful player, now young adult. In a nutshell, I can already tell you guys the feeling of the game is completely different from 10 years ago, but that could just be because of age. The user interface, menus, skills, pretty much every graphic besides the avatar themselves has been changed for the better. Everything looks so clean and flashy. Maplestory's art style truly is timeless, which is what I love about it. Now, it's no mystery that the community aspect of the game just isn't the same anymore as it used to be during Maplestory's beginning. Maplestory started in a time where online games were fairly new. I was probably 11 or 12 years old at the time when I started playing in 2007. Being able to play and talk with players around the world was truly insane to me. Being a shy kid in real life, I had no issues making friends and having an extremely extroverted-like personality in-game. Back then, making progress in the game was extremely slow. However, partying with other people could help speed that process up. But we didn't party with people because of things like leveling up quick or getting the best gear. The fun wasn't the rewards of the party quests, but the party quests themselves. It was spending endless hours with random strangers. Of course, I was a kid, so I didn't have to worry about real life quite yet. But still, the community was truly collaborative back then, and now it's become a rat race to see who can deal the most damage and have the best gear. I won't pound on this too much, as I'm sure most of you watching already know about the current state of the game. If funded enough, players can essentially solo endgame bosses by themselves, without ever needing a party or to interact with others. But obviously, some people still play the game for the community, whether that be hanging out with friends they met in the game, or with their fellow guild members. Tons of people still just hang out in towns, showing off their cool chairs, playing Omok, and flexing their cash up items. Despite all the changes that Maplestory has gone through, there has been always one thing that is a constant throughout the eras. Without a shred of doubt, I can confidently say Maplestory is the perfect time killer of a game. If your goal is to simply find a game that takes up all your time, then Maplestory is the game for you. Back then, and even now. Back then, there was a plethora of things to do to keep you busy. Grinding, party quests, jump quests, even merchanting in the free market. I could spend all day doing different things and never get bored. Especially as a free-to-play player, you can easily find yourself spending even more time on everything. As for today, sure, there's the constant grind to become the best, but there's still tons of things to do despite the declining community aspect arguably. Of course, Nexon, the company whose Maplestory is under, is predatory, and as a result, their goal is to take as much of your time as possible. They've developed countless ways to keep you spending hours and money on the game, from gacha and loot boxes to systems like Legion and Link skills that require you to make and level up multiple characters. There's no shortage of time killers. And that's not to say that killing time is a bad thing. If you enjoy it, then that's all that matters. If you're someone who's trying to save money and is looking for the best value game to yield the most amount of hours, Maplestory can do just that. After logging into my old character, the first thing I did was spend a little bit of money to get him some usable gear. I've gotten myself a mix of epic, unique, and legendary items, surely enough to start off with. I picked things up pretty quickly, and with the help of some quick Google searches, people online advised me to start with advancing the 5th job, and then starting the various post-game quest lines. Whenever I would get done with a long line of storyline quests, I would take a break and test my might against bosses that would have been difficult in the old days. Being able to now easily solo bosses like Horntail and Pink Bean was just insane to me. Back then, it would have taken entire guilds just to whack them for hours to win, and now I can do just that with one button press. My original main was a paladin, but I chose Shadower as my second main because I enjoyed the mobility. Now it seems that every job has their own flash jump, which is a great improvement, I'll admit. Fortunately, Shadowers were buffed pretty decently from the Destiny patch, and I had lots of fun jumping across the map and dealing endless lines of damage, to the point my screen was all numbers. I felt pretty OP, but still understanding my damage was probably equal to an absolute amateur. I took advantage of the burning event to try new characters, and I've got to say, leveling up from 1 to 200 is now child's play and could be easily done in a day. Now, I know the level cap has been raised nowadays, but the feeling of reaching to level 200 in one day, followed by a huge spike in leveling requirements after that, just doesn't sit well with me. It feels like leveling post 200 takes so much longer, or maybe it's just me being an adult, that I have less free time to spend on grinding. Anyways, that's enough of me ranting. I want to answer the question, should you come back to Maplestory, and to give some closing thoughts. I'm afraid my answer is going to be pretty cliche, but it's going to be both yes and no to the question of coming back to Maplestory. After spending some weeks getting back into the flow of things, I can definitely still enjoy the game despite having no friends on there, and can still sink endless hours on the game without getting bored of it. Sounds good, right? Well, with being an adult, there's still tons of things I want to do, other games I want to try, other videos I want to make, in addition to real life things like work, exercise, and other hobbies that would give little time left to spend on Maplestory. However, if I wasn't trying to grow a YouTube channel, along with a plethora of other activities eating up my time, Maplestory would be the perfect game. It's both enjoyable and relaxing. It's not a stress-inducing game like some competitive games out there, and you can play it at your own pace. Not to mention the music is probably one of the best ever. If you're an old school player who's curious about installing the game again, give it a try and see if you like it. If you decide no, you just don't have the time for it, or you think that it'll eat up too much of your time in an unhealthy way, that's a perfectly fine answer as well. Stay away from it, and you do you. Overall, I think the game is doing very well right now, and will surely be here to stay. There's been tons of quality of life improvements, and a plethora of in-game activities to keep you engaged. If you can make some friends or join an active guild, then even better. With my current circumstances, I may not be playing the game every day, but I will surely leave Maplestory on my computer for those free days where I have nothing going on and just want to do something relaxing. Maybe that's just me falling for the nostalgia in a sad attempt to feel like a kid again, but who's to say? Anyways, that's my closing thoughts on Maplestory in 2022. If you stayed this long in the video, I greatly appreciate it. If you have any comments or feedback on anything at all, please share them with me in the comments below. Thanks again for watching, and I'll see you in the next one.
Beautiful, beautiful.